Well, I'll see what we get done today. I am going to work on the car, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm just going to putz around. Looks like it's going to be close enough. I mean, it's not going to be a perfect match. You have this or bright orange or white, and I think this will look the best. That's what it is. Nothing really on the back, just pretty simple stuff. And it's just, as you can see, a little tiny bottle of it, but that's enough to do probably who knows how many speedometers. Well, I think I'm going to clean the radio up. Even though I got the paint for the needles, I want to paint all the needles at the same time, so I'm just going to clean this up. So it looks like there's a light in the radio itself. So I'm going to take this apart somewhat, and it looks like I could see down in there, and there's that shows up and down in there now, but there's a lot of dirt down in there. So I want to clean the inside of the radio out a little bit and clean the buttons and the face, and then clean up the wiring. I don't know, there's some tape on the wiring there like it was pinched or spliced into. I think it was spliced into, so we'll fix that. So I'll cut that and solder it and put some shrink tube on it. And looks like that's probably where somebody hooked in the rear speaker. Somebody had cobbled in a rear speaker, and I'd put money on it. That's exactly what that's from. So we're gonna correct that. One thing that didn't work on this radio was the light, so I took this face off to get to the bulb. Just took those 4 screws out, and then I can clean this up really nice. But you can see the lamp is definitely discolored. And then I can clean the buttons with the face off, and I'm going to take the top off so I can clean the inside of the radio out too. There we go, the cover is off the radio. This is the antenna trimmer, so when you plug the antenna in, you tune it to I think a weak station over on this end of the dial. I don't remember if it was this end or this end, but anyway, then you adjust this until it comes in the strongest. But you can see here, this is the part of the tuner mechanism right there, and then when you push this button, see how it moves that away. So when that button's pushed, you push the button. See how when I turn this now with the button pushed, the needle doesn't move, and I let it up and it does. You get radios to where you turn the knob and the needle doesn't work, but you push the buttons and it works. It's probably because that rubber is sticking to the disc, or the rubber is bad or it's slipping. So that's a common problem when tuners here don't work. But the inside of the radio actually looks okay. Here, I'll just kind of, for all you radio guys that want to see things, and then you can just pause when there's something you've got to see. Not much to it, is there? There's the back of the circuit board. Yeah, it looks pretty darn good in there. So this is the dirt I was seeing right here. So I'm going to get that all, try and clean everything up in there the best I can without, I don't want to blow compressed air. I don't want to blow dirt into the tuner. And this is a tuner. So hopefully we'll get that all cleaned up and the dial and everything done and ready for reinstall. To clean this out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and a vacuum while it's running, and brush and vacuum at the same time so that I don't get dirt down into things. So I'm sucking the dirt up as I'm brushing it off. And I'm obviously not going to video doing that. You're not going to be able to hear it. Well, I guess I could. The vacuum might not be too bad in the video. Let's see what happens. That is cleaned up nice. There's really cleaned up. Not bad at all on the inside. Way better than what I expected. There is some numbers on the tuner there. just wondering if that was like a part number or production date. I can't really tell. Looks like it's 204401-0701, and then below it there's a 204614, maybe .4 or -4, or maybe it's a -1. But anyway, that's the numbers on the tuner. And this cover for this original radio is kind of rusty on the top. So I thought I'll take the one off the other radio. This is the top of the other radio. This is the top of this one out of the car. You can see they're completely different. They're both sitting right way up on the bench. Turn this radio over, and it's still different, but this is the cover that comes off this one, and I'm just wondering if this one's a tube set. And that one's obviously, there's a transistor there, so this is a transistor radio, but I'm kind of wondering if this may have tubes in it. And this radio is actually heavier than that radio too. So maybe we'll have a look at this one. I'll take the cover off, and we're going to power it up anyway to see if it works. If anyone knows that's into the radios, knows anything about them, let me know. I think this is a 65 radio, so maybe they had tubes in 65 and transistors in 66. That was around the, the early 60s was around the era when things were starting to get transistorized. Yeah, that is where they just peeled off some insulation to wire that rear speaker. So I'm gonna clean it up and just tape it up. I'm not gonna cut it and solder it. There's no break in the wiring. It's just they scraped the insulation off for this. So I'm just gonna clean up the wiring and tape it up. I took the bulb out. The bulb is definitely cooked. It's a 1891 is what it looks like. It states on the bulb, but yeah, the filament is definitely broken in there. And so I got the manual out to make sure, and it says radio pilot light, 2 candle power, 1891. So let me see if I have some 1891 bulbs. Well, I'll look through my bulb hoard. These I think these are 6 volt. Oh no, that's 12 volt. I hit 12 volt 35 watt. I have some 6 volt headlight bulbs like that somewhere. That's 12 volt. But finding this right number, that's a number 47. I have a number 47. I have a number, that's an 1892 or 02 or something. So I'm just going to dig around. If I don't have a bulb, then I'll order one. And we'll go from there. I don't think that's an 1891. So maybe that will work. Is this? Yeah, so this is that's an 1891. So I got a bulb. Good deal. I went and looked in the shop manual which color in the schematic was for the light, and it's the blue one with the red trace, or looks pink to me, but it is red. And got it hooked up to power just for the light, and I just want to make sure the light works, so I'll put a ground on it, and we got a light now. So the radio light will work. So I got to clean up those buttons and the face, paint the needle, and it should be ready to reinstall in the dash. In cleaning this radio up, the face on this radio was in better shape than the face on this radio. This is the face off this radio. But there's quite a bit of difference in these radios. Look at the buttons, for instance. That's how you set the station. You pull them out. You have it like if you want it there, you can push it in, and then when you go back, it goes back to there. But the buttons are different. The face is a little different. That's the face off this radio. This is the face off this radio, but it was in better shape. But they're slightly different, but it still interchanges. So I'm going to put this face on this radio, and I robbed the bulb out of this radio because it was the GE kind, and it looked brand new and it works. So I took the bulb from this radio and put it in this radio. And if it burns out in the future, I'll change it. But anyway, I did that just because I wanted to. And I pulled out these buttons, and they're plastic, the buttons. You know, I thought, well, maybe some of these buttons might be in better shape. But those buttons, like I say, are different from these buttons. So these are all pretty cleaned up. I got all in between them. Did steel wool and chrome polish. And I'm going to put a little coat of wax on them next. And then I'll put the base back on, and I'll paint the needle again when I paint all of them at the same time. But I just, you know, and I cleaned the top of this up a little bit too, so it doesn't look so bad. But let me put a little wax on these, put the thing together, and then we'll put it in the dash. Yeah, it looks better all put together, and the knobs, the buttons cleaned up. I just kind of turned it a little bit. I'll have to program stations once it's in the car and working, but I'm going to paint the needle on it and see how it looks, and maybe we'll throw it back in the dash. I did take a scuff pad and scuffed it first. Look at that, that's a pretty darn good match. That's original, that's new paint. It's a really good match. It looks like I might put a couple coats on it. That's about as good a match as it's going to get. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, I'm going to let that dry 15-20 minutes, and then I'll hit it with a second coat. In the meantime, I might hit the needles on the other gauges, but that's going to look good once it's all done. That speedometer needle paint is top notch. It did a beautiful job of painting the needles. I'm super happy. It's really a perfect match. I mean, where I had painted and where I hadn't, you couldn't tell the difference. And so, yeah, it's just a little tiny bottle, but this will match your 66 Ford Galaxie needles, no doubt about that. It's just a little, very little use of it did all that. So that looks super nice, and while I was at it, I painted the gauges from that other dash. Yeah, I just hit these two. I figured why I had the brush out and dirty, I'd just do them too. That's the face from the original radio. And it just doesn't look as good as the face that was from that parts dash. So that's the one that's going in the car. Yeah, this panel cleaned up nice. The one thing, you don't see any of this. This is the, you know, the plastic. We'll go over here, and that none of that's visible. But down in there, that is behind here. There's like foam on the radio nut, like right, can you see it there? Right there. So I think I'll get a new piece or find something to, maybe some hose that size or something, thin wall, something black to put over that so it doesn't show through. And I polished up the back here where all the panel lights reflect, and I think that'll look good. But like I say, I need to put something so you don't see that part there. When the lens is on, you won't see this because of the, show you. So now you don't see that brass part sticking out there anymore, you know, because the way the lens designed. But I can see through the lens to that brass stem there. So I need to definitely fix that. And you know, this dash is mounted in the car kind of like on an angle like this, so, you know, it'll look good. But we'll get that lens cleaned up, and hopefully this thing will be pretty much all set, other than I got to put the chrome, you know, on the piece that goes around here. I just got a little distracted. I was going to go to the, well, I did go to the hardware and get some foam tape, and this is the next day, and I was going to clean this plastic up and finish putting that together, which I'm still going to do. But I went and bought a bunch of alligator. I like to have jumper wires in my toolbox. And I have this pair, which is just missing the little black thing there. And I have some other ones with eyelets there. And I had some of these with alligator clips, but the alligator clips had broken over the years. And anyway, I bought some new ones while I was at the hardware and just soldered them all on there. And like when I was running the radio light or the clock, that's when you need them. So anyway, I'm just soldering up a new one, and I thought I'd just do a little video on soldering it up. I just got it run through there, clamped in the vise, and ready to solder. Getting down to the last little dregs of my Radio Shack wire. Yeah, too bad they're not around anymore. They're, cell phones I think did them in. You couldn't go in there and get service because they're so busy selling cell phones. But anyway, get your solder. I got a Weller. Does that show up? There. Sorry, it's upside down though. It's just the way I'm holding the soldering gun. So get the thing right on the screw. Let it get hot, and then I just take my solder and I'll put it over here on the wire. Whoops, I got to tighten that up. Don't have it quite tight enough there. That vise also acts as a heat sink because that insulation goes up in there and I don't want to melt it. So anyway, just get your soldering gun on. The solder is going to want to go where your heat is. So I heat that, and when I feed the solder here, when this is hot enough to melt, it'll just suck it right in over there. So let me just get this. Doesn't take very long. Sometimes you just want to tin that, and that helps transfer. See how it's melting now? And I want to get the back side of the screw there a little bit. Whoops, sorry, but it is soldered. Didn't matter that it popped out of the vise. It knocked some of the excess solder off, but that's okay. That's soldered. And I got one more to do. And then we got a pair of little cables made up. So you kind of see how I do this, and like I say, you can tin the tip and that. Well, you can either do it like that or do it like that. Either way, whatever way you're the most comfortable tinning. But see how it's starting to melt right there? And it just sucks it right into where you have the heat, and you're done. Pretty simple. There we go, a couple of nice jumper leads, 2 different colors. So if I make them 6 feet long or so that you can reach around. So if you want to like jump a coil from a battery or something, you can. And there it is, right way up, the soldering gun. I think I got this in an estate sale, I think for $1.50 or $2, all that stuff. A lot of stuff I have is from estate sales. Anyway, that's almost gone. Well, that is done now, and it looks really good in there. And this is what I used, was the leftover windshield washer hose, and I had them a little long. I had to trim a little off this one, so when I push this up against, so they're just not quite against it. And that's kind of the way I thought it should be, because that's kind of the way it looked before. And but it definitely, this like I say, you won't see because of the plastic, but that brass down in there you can see. So there, now you can see with that. And I slit the hose so the bottom has a, it was 5/16 hose, and those stems are 3/8 of an inch. So I just put a slice in the hose. You can see a rib. I sliced it right on that rib, and then just put it over in that. That's totally going to do the job. I'm completely happy with that. that came out amazing. I'm really super happy with it. You can't see the bronze down in there. It's really looks good. Really super happy with it. So I'm gonna put the little rivet things in, put the knobs back on the radio. I haven't painted the chrome on the bezel yet. Maybe I'll do this tomorrow or the next day. I was kind of thinking, you know, that paint pen, I don't know if I'm too comfortable with that. I like my little touch-up brush. I'm used to it, super comfortable with it. So I may use something else. I got some chrome paint from an art store some time ago that's pretty good. Maybe I'll try it on something and see how it looks, and we'll go from there on that. That is pretty much all 100% together. I don't think I have, well, the only thing I have left in here is the mounting hardware. That's for the panel, you know, that, and mounting it into the, you know, into the car, and mounting, you know, all these screws here and the dash pad and stuff. These, I forget what that roll pin was out of. I'll figure it out when I get to it. That little screw, it was something to do with, yeah, I'll figure it out when I get to it. And then the turn signal green dots. I drove that out of something. Now I don't remember. Isn't that crazy? Or oh, I know, that was the gear shift lever. So that's why that's in there. I just put it with the dash stuff. But yeah, the radio bracket, the other nut to that is on the back of the radio. So that's just what's left. Not a lot left. And of course that light I showed you in one of my past videos there that I got. That, in case you didn't see that video. But anyway, yeah, go back and watch that video if you want to see about it. So super happy with the way, you know, all the push buttons. I just kind of, they're not setting stations. But everything works. And that tunes, and this, so there's no, I think if you had a front and rear speaker, that's what that does, but this doesn't. So there we go. All put together, new bulb in the radio. I'll check all the instrument panel bulbs before I put it back in, but I got to get the dash pad changed and the dash ready to put this back in. I got to clean up everything in there, and also I'm going to show you what else I'm going to fix while I'm in there. So as you remember, when I bought this car, it had the compressor here and these ugly, it had an underdash AC unit, and the lines went through right here. And that was not a rubber plug in there. I've seen other cars, it's a knockout. So while the dash is out, I can trace that out and cut a piece of sheet metal exactly that, and then I'll adhere it to another piece a little larger, so when I push it up against here, it's almost flush even out here. And then I'll adhere it to inside the car, and at the same time, I'll fix this. This little thing is broken on the wing window. So I'll fix that, and I can, like I say, I think I can get at that dashboard hole quite easily with the instrument panel out. So while it's out, you know, like I say, I'll get the pad. Maybe this next week I'll do the pad, and we'll see what I need to paint up in here. If I found that painting this stuff is just, I think over the years it's had silicone based stuff to make it look pretty, and I'll show you what I did to why I might not be painting this stuff. In the dash panel here, between the speedometer and the radio, there's this little metal piece that goes in between there, and I was just playing to see if I could match, you know, get a good match with that paint. So I was trying some different paints, and I bead blasted this, and look at how I've tried painting it several different times, and that's the way it came every time. I literally put this in a pan of lacquer thinner after about the third or fourth time and let it sit in that lacquer thinner for probably 5 minutes, and then wiped it all off and I even zinc chromate primed it, which is a metal etching primer, and it just doesn't make a difference what I do. That's what the paint does on this piece. And usually that's an indication of oil or silicones or something like that. So I suspect if they use some product like an Armor All, and that stuff just gets embedded into things. You can like, I've had cars where, you know, the old school people used to spray their weather stripping down with silicone, keep the doors, and I do too. You know, spray this down with silicone to keep it from sticking, especially in the winter time. You know, you keep your weather strips silicone, your doors don't freeze shut as bad. They'll still freeze shut, but you'll be able to get them open. But I've had cars to where that's siliconed, where I've completely stripped the paint 100% off the dashboard, or off the door jamb, I mean. I'm talking about the dashboard here, but anyway, and wiped it all down with solvents, and when I've painted it, right where the weather stripping goes and an inch or so out each way, has done this. To where I've sanded it out and repainted it a couple times on one car and finally gave up and just left it. So that's why I'm kind of contemplating not painting the dashboard. The paint on it's in really good shape. The steering column, the paint's in really good shape, and I think I can clean it up. I was going to repaint the steering column and the dashboard, but after this, I'm having second thoughts. I don't know what's causing this. Usually if you bead blast it and soak it in lacquer thinner and metal etch prime, and even the metal etching primer did that, everything, and I even tried to get that, I put it on so light you could barely see it, and I did about 2 or 3 coats, letting it dry between coats, and it actually looked fine. But then when I painted it, it did this, and I did the same with the paint. I just misted little coats on, thin, and when I was done, that's what I ended up with. So that's why I am leery about painting the rest of the dashboard in this car. But I'll see what, you know, if something just plain old doesn't clean up, I may not have a choice, but we're gonna try and save as much of the paint in this car on its dashboard as we can. You know, it's just not, the steering column is mostly just dirty. This is glue. They had glued this on, and that just comes right off. I can clean that off with my fingernail, so I'm not worried about that. And the rest of it, there's a little surface, no, that's just like glue too. Anyway, we'll get it all looking good in here. If I need to touch something up, I can, but I just fear a paint reaction trying to paint stuff in here. So that's where I'm at on it. Well, I'm going to finish the video here. I'm going to call it a day so I can go in and get this video edited up for everyone there. And if you like the video, definitely hit the like button. It certainly helps. You know, it gets it more views. Share the video. Do whatever you can to get more views on my videos to help me out with that. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And if you like my channel and you want to see this beautiful Galaxie all finished up, this nicely restored dashboard, go back in the car. You can see here. Subscribe to my channel by hitting that 348 engine icon that pops up there. And thank you for watching my videos.